Not really sure if the white is going to work with the t-shirt, but based on the way that I think this review is going to go, I'm not sure if I care. Anyhow, gotta stick to a theme, right? Marshmello. Joytime 3 is the third studio album released by Marshmello. Now, where to begin to talk about the album or the artist? Well, I reviewed Joytime 2 last year. I haven't reviewed the original Joytime. Maybe one of these days I will. And there's a lot of me, and I mean a lot of me, that firmly believes that I want to like Marshmello's music. And a good chunk of it I do. And then there's some of it that I feel like is just kind of existing for some kind of crowd to enjoy, but not always me in particular. And having said some of that, Joytime 3, and only being the third album that this artist has made and released, it kind of follows a formula that's similar to much of the artist's past discography. And for some of the songs in here, that formula works. But after a while of becoming familiar with his music and simply listening to this album as its own project, you kind of get the daunting feeling of knowing that there aren't going to be many risks taken. Not as many switch-ups as you would think an artist would with their third album going in. And I get it, there's a fine line between knowing what your sound, your artistry is, and then expanding upon it, adding on to it, evolving. There's a lot that can go right and there's plenty that can go wrong. But sometimes stagnancy takes you back a little bit more. At this point, I feel like Marshmello is just underachieving expectations for at least maybe music listeners, not just his fans, but people who are looking forward to what's the new thing that Marshmello is going to bring to the table. And he can do that and has done that a little bit in this album, but the album as a whole, and I feel like all of his collective works, aren't really suggesting that we're moving upward. We're kind of going on like a gradual, somewhat elevated hike, but it's just like, oh, it's new because we're going in a direction, but we're not really elevating. So before going too deep into that, I do want to talk about a few of the songs I thought were good highlights. If you are looking for some songs that do kind of stay on that fine line of the Marshmello sound, that doesn't really make it on that level daunting to listen to, you can take a look at Here We Go Again and Proud. I think both of those work well for his type of sound. It's like what you expect, but you're not bored with it. But the first one I really would like to highlight is Sad Songs. It is kind of in a way basic, but the combination of alternative rock and EDM coming together make it a little bit more curiously enjoyable. Kind of sticking in that similar area is the one song I think everybody knows as his lead single, titled Rescue Me. The band A Day to Remember is the one who's in charge of the additional sound and vocals in this song, and I am going to give them props for this because originally when I first heard this song, I wasn't super impressed with it. The more I listen to it, the more I like it, but I especially like it so much more after listening to the whole album. This is definitely the song that stands out. So I know I complain about this a little bit. Props to Marshmello or whoever is in charge of releasing his singles, because this is definitely the one that I thought, okay, if you're going to release a single, that's the one. Good job. You chose the right one. Good job. Beyond that, not too much that I can say. Again, it feels like it's an underachieving project. It feels like he's keeping up the same thing. Joytime, Joytime 2, Joytime 3. It's kind of a consistency, and I feel like the only thing we're really maybe surprised about is the fact that it's new songs, but not really a new sound or a new version of Marshmello. We're not getting anything that feels like, okay, he's moving forward with his career. It's kind of like he's kind of just staying here and is enjoying his spot. I definitely don't have something that I can recommend as to evolve his sound. I do feel like it's just worth mentioning that his sound is not bad. It's just that eventually he's going to have to stir his own pot a little bit to be able to draw in a little bit more. And I don't feel like some of the things that were mildly switched up in this album paid off enough. So I hope that he is going to bring more. And he is completely capable of doing that. I just want to see it in an entire album, not in a couple of singles that are either from the album or just non-album singles. I'd like to see an entire album be a proven, majestic project that I think he is very, very capable of, adding a little bit of his, if you will, sweetness to it. So after having listened and reviewed this album with production of 79%, creativity 71%, expression and lyrics 67%, I'm going to give this album an okay. I will give props for the artwork of the album, a couple of added colors here and there. He knows that color is a part of his brand, I guess, and it's playing well with his album covers. So yeah, music-wise, I just want to see progression. I like that he has a sound. I want him to keep the idea that his iconic sound can stick with him, but we got to see some progress. We can't just have him stagnant for the number of years that he's been sharing and producing music on a mainstream scale. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And remember, if you want to discover, promote, and review the best in entertainment, remember to subscribe and follow all the social media for this channel so you can get that yes in your life. See you next time.